Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. Have a question into customer service, and this one comes from Sai Wong, and Sai says, I have a question with the preloaded right part of the PPGS, especially with the driver. If I preload right, knee slightly outward, right shoulder down, spine tilted to the right, I would hit the ball right, followed by a slice, sometimes really bad. If I set up straight, this does not happen. What am I doing wrong? Can you do a daily video on this topic and explain why the ball flight would change when preloaded right? Okay, this is a very good common question and common issue that we see with students. And naturally, like any club or any problem, when you get to the driver, it can be much more accelerated and worse. All right, so let's first discuss what preloaded heavy right is. I'm going to start with just the iron, a 7-iron here. The thing I see with preloaded heavy right is that, number one, it's when people are having a problem, they're doing it incorrectly. Now, all it is if you stand up, and I'm going to let you see my belt buckle here. One of the ways to best do this is most golfers, when they tend to get preloaded heavy right, all right, they get in here and they just do this. They get like Sai said, he's going to have the wide knees, he's going to get tilted to the right. They tend to do what? They'll over tilt, or they'll go like this. When they do it, when this goes right, the upper body goes right, the lower body goes left. So now they're actually collapsed back here, and that's going to be a really big issue about possibly bottoming the club out way before the ball, or chubbing the ball a lot, or having a pull up out of the shot, which will now create the slices as well as chunks. And if you pull back like this and you rotate over and fall backwards, you can start hitting the pulls. So the key is that I like to just say, you stand up, get your right position. Now, the first thing is where the right foot has to be. If you take a club and put it under your armpit and just hang it straight down, it should be over your knee. It should touch your knee and be looking down at the very inside top, like I say, about where your big toe is. So preloaded heavy right is if I'm standing here, you see where the club is now, it's inside my knee. When I get over here and I just go like this, now it's on top of my knee straight down. So preloaded heavy right is just like, take your belt buckle and just your belt and just lift yourself up and move it about 1 inch. Just going to come and move 1 inch and kind of sit on that right leg. But you see, I took my whole body and moved it. I didn't have the shoulder, I didn't tilt the shoulders right and the hips get pushed out left. That's super tilted. All right, it's just right here. All you do is just move about 1 inch and you preloaded heavy right. Now, how do you test that? Well, if you did this, if you kind of did this, just imagine drawing a line from the center of your sternum straight down to the ground, and just close your eyes and say, which way can I move my head 1 inch and pick the opposite foot up? Now, I can move my head 1 inch this way and pick the back foot up, right? See? How much? But I'd have to move it about 5 inches to be able to pick my front foot up. And whenever I give that test to somebody that I see like this, they go, holy cow, I thought I was behind the ball. Yeah, you got your head and your shoulders behind the ball, but basically your whole body from about your belt forward is on the other side of the ball, is forward. We want to have kind of like everything back there. So it's almost no different than basically taking a stance right here where I'm going to do it on this side, that I just feel like maybe my front foot's about 1 inch higher. That's all, like 1 inch uphill maybe, and you're trying to stay pretty much spine level to that hill. All right, so we have to do it the right way. Just get here and just sit back onto your right leg. The knee, you can't let the knee get outside the foot. The underside of the foot can't be rolling up. And so that is the critical thing to the preloaded heavy right. And so now when you're preloaded heavy right, the beautiful piece of that is if you're in dynamic balance preloaded heavy right, and you come in and you start turning too much, you're going to lose your balance. Right? You get up here and you tend to start, and you lift too much outside, you lose your balance. It's almost kind of guarantees that you have to make the limited turn vertical swing to stay in balance when you preloaded heavy right. Now, the other thing that's important about preloaded heavy right is that if you get into side hill lies, especially a downhill lie, so to speak, like this now, If I stay preloaded heavy right, I will bottom out every time. So you have to, if you get a truly downhill lie, you got to get back to getting your shoulders more level and equal to the lie, and almost maybe feel a little preloaded heavy left, so you won't bottom out. And I mean, even I forget that now and then. I'll walk in and have a slight downhill lie and just set up in here like this, and boom, I'm gonna chub it every time. And so you got to make sure, be careful of your lies, and that's why I always say take a practice swing beside your ball, especially if the lie is not dead flat, so you can feel, in that practice swing or two, you can feel how that lie is going to start, when it's going to start pushing you or making you, or you feel it pulling you in whether forward or backwards or whatever. And so you now know that whatever that is, you got to find the setup and make the swing that you're going to get that ball before that lie can start pushing you or pulling you off away from the ball. And so that's why I like you to take your practice swings there. But preloaded heavy right is really, really a simple thing to do when you do it correctly. So I'm going to guess, Cy, that it's just, you probably have either you're too wide, or your foot might be too wide. So when you get preloaded heavy right, you're standing back too much here. So you see in this case, see what a foot is. So if you're trying to get and preload on that foot that way, now you're so far back, you're going to be hanging back no matter what you hit, or you're going to push off and get ahead of it. You're going to have to push harder and sooner to get off of it, and that'll pull you through. So you have to first have the right foot in the right place, and this foot is with this place with every club in the bag. The only foot that gets wider and narrower is your forward foot. So you get there, and it's just this little subtle, boom, right there. See, the hips are going back level. They're not doing this. So I'm guessing it's either the foot's too wide or you got too much of that, and you've collapsed. Okay? And you correct those things, and it's basically the same with everything. When I walk into a ball, I get in here, and when I'm going preloaded heavy right, I just get here and I just go boom like that. Just moves 1 inch, and I'm here. All right? Okay? Check that out. Preloaded heavy right is beautiful because we're already here. Just lift from there, and boom, all you got is one way to go. Fire, bump, and fire to the hole. There's no trying to make a turn and no one to have to stop. I'm there. Just lift the arms with that little bit of turn and just fire that way. Okay? So that's the beauty of preloaded heavy right. Just like a baseball pitcher getting down here and he loads to throw, the quarterback loads, the tennis player throws the ball up, they go. They don't throw the ball up from here and go there. They don't, when the pitcher's like this, he's looking at the catcher, he comes back, he gets on the back foot, and then he starts his load on the back foot. So that's what we're doing. We're starting here, just lifting, and then we got one way to go. All right? So those are the two issues on the biggest issues for causing preloaded heavy right. Check your shadow out, look in a window or a mirror, and just practice learning that little, just boom, and sit on the right leg. All right, with that, preloaded heavy right, you'll be hitting it much more solid, consistently, and keeping the ball in play and shooting lower scores. That's it for the Surge for today, and I'll be talking to you all again soon.